So today is the day we find out the results of what Chonk is. Up to now we've not known what he is. We obviously know he's a tumour, but we don't know exactly what type or what grade that needed the surgery to take some and send it off to be tested. So we know those results now when we get onto that in a bit. But first, there's just a little bit about what we've done today. You hungry, bud? Hungry boy. Don't be so scared, mate. It's just the camera. There we go. Nice pile of biscuits for you there, bud. Now, poor Daisy dog. There you go. Sit. No, that's not very good, is it? Nom nom nom. I've decided to include a bit here about me eating because it's one of the things that I'm struggling with. You can see here that, you know, my left side is not very strong. I'm kind of chewing on my lip there a little bit. So I struggle to actually kind of keep the milk in whilst I'm chewing. It's very odd. You know, the things that you take for granted and all that sort of thing. There's just a little close-up of Chonk. So yeah, I'm going to keep this in. It's a bit weird watching me eat, but it's a good insight into the sort of the weakness. You know, or even though the weakness is kind of on the very far left side in the corner of my mouth, it ends up breaking the seal of my lips, and you can see there that I can't really keep the food in. It's a bit odd. It is improving, but it's not great. After breakfast, it's time for my physio. So I've posted a few things about me moving individual grains of rice from one bowl to another. This is another one of the tools I've got. It's called Theraputty. It's basically like Play-Doh. It's really horrible and greasy though. It's weird. The green one that you saw initially there was too weak. It wasn't enough of a challenge, so they've sent me this blue one, which is much stiffer. And you'll see I sort of pinch it and use it to practice grabbing with my pincer grip. That's much better than that one.
You're too strong for it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
And just like that, we were off to the hospital. Don't actually show the meeting. I explain it at the end of the video. So in another couple of minutes' time, you get the explanation of what the results were and so on. All done. Time for lunch.
My favourite place.
Yeah. And then that was was it. Once we'd had our lunch, we back under the Humber Bridge and home. And then I'll explain now what happened in the meeting. What's up, everyone? So this wasn't the initial plan. The plan was to do a side-by-side with the two MRIs and show you and explain what's happened and what they've taken. But the plan for now, I think, because we haven't got those images, they're coming through. I've got the initial ones, but I haven't got the post-surgical ones, so there's nothing to actually show. So that'll be a separate video. So for now, I'm just going to explain what happened today in the meeting. So did some basic testing. So my power is good on both sides. I was able to resist quite strongly. Did some pinpoint testing and stuff. That was quite positive. Surgeon's very happy. He's not worried about the weird bubbling feeling that I can feel. He said there's maybe a bit of a leak in the membrane. So when they went in, they've cut through the scalp, taken a bit of skull bone out, cut through the membrane that covers the brain and keeps the fluid in. And when they've reattached that, there's potential for there to be little areas where the fluid can get into the gap, which is not really a problem, he said. So we're all good there. And yeah, everything moving forward is good from his point of view. The only thing that's a slight negative is that initially they thought it was a grade 2 Oligodendrogliaoma. It turns out it's grade 3, which from what I can gather is basically just means it's more aggressive and is more likely to spread or grow, or not really sure whether it's a case of it can pop up in other parts of the body, or whether he's worried about it spreading to other parts of my brain, or what. So I'll clarify that before I do the side-by-side video that I mentioned, and we'll know better then. The other thing that got cleared up a bit is we weren't sure if the skull bone that had been removed, the sort of circular part, had actually been reattached in any sort of meaningful way, or if it was more just placed down. So do a little sketch of what he showed me. So you can see that there. So the circular piece of skull bone removed from here, and then where the bone's been put back, we've got three little metal plates that are then screwed down on each side to keep the skull flap in place. So obviously that's a good thing. I did ask about things like airport metal detectors, and it's not going to be an issue. It's not that sort of metal, it's titanium, so it shouldn't set off anything like that in the future. I don't need to worry about carrying x-rays with me for the rest of my life or anything. If at some point I get another CT imaging done, then it may be that we can actually see it, because that's essentially an x-ray, and that'll show the little marks. So if I do ever get one of those done at any point, I'll put a video up about that, because I think that's quite interesting to see as well. So going forward, now that they know it's more aggressive than they initially thought, there's still some molecular markers to come back from some different labs. He said that some of it's been sent off to, I think he said Newcastle or possibly Nottingham. I don't think they control where it goes. I think it's just a case of, wherever the national resource is available. So they're still waiting for those markers, and the oncologist will use that information to decide what to actually do with me next. but I will be getting referred to the oncology team for probably chemo. He thinks, from what he knows, the type of tumour that I've got is responsive to particular types of chemotherapy, and they were saying that there's 3 or 4 different regimes that might go down as, there's the version where you sort of the thing that you always see, when you see people having chemo on telly or in films, and they go and sit in a chair with a drip, and then there's drugs that you take at home, things like that. So I'd sort of assumed going in that was going to be needed, and so I'm nothing has really changed for me kind of over the course of today. It wasn't a shock or anything. I'd gone in on the assumption that there was going to be follow-up after this. So yeah, on to the next part. The MDT meeting to discuss me was this afternoon, so we saw my surgeon this morning, and then this afternoon there was a multidisciplinary team meeting where I was on the agenda to decide what to do with. So we're hoping we'll find out some information relatively soon about what comes next, a referral or something. We're not really sure, but we'll as soon as we know more, you'll know more.